We've reached the midway point in Nebraska fall practice. Can you believe it? The season is almost here. And with that being said, over these past couple days specifically, there have been a bunch of risers and fallers for the Huskers during fall ball. Some players who are rising up the ranks quick, and at the exact same time, guys who are falling off a cliff. So in today's video, I've compiled my list of the 5 biggest studs and duds for the Huskers during all of fall practice. Some players who you need to buy stock on right now because they're going to play a lot more than what you're expecting. And at the exact same time, some players who you're expecting a lot from who might not play at all. So really quick, this video is jam-packed with information. Hit that like button if you're fired up. And also, the season's almost here. If you're a diehard Nebraska fan and you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? This is the only place to get daily content talking Huskers. It's no brand. Takes 2 seconds. Join the family. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. Nebraska fall practice is heating up. We're only about 2 weeks away from our season opener against Cincinnati. But with that being said, over these past couple days specifically, there have been a bunch of risers and fallers, guys who are shooting up the depth chart. And at the exact same time, some players who are previously starts, previously in the 2 deep, and that is not the case anymore. So we're going to get things started with the studs. We'll go stud, dud, and so on. So we're alternating. This is not in any particular order, but just know all of these guys, man, they've either been balling out or just not living up to expectations. So let's just get things started with the number 1 stud. And this is going to be music to a lot of your ears, including my own. Somebody with a lot of expectations. Former 5-star recruit transfer from Missouri, none other than Williams Nwaneri. Now, you guys know that I had a lot of questions about Williams when he transferred to Nebraska. And it was never about the physical talent. This is somebody who's 6'7", super long arms. He's about 280 pounds at this point in time for Nebraska. When you watch his high school film, I mean, it was A++. He's running off the line of scrimmage with incredible freak speed and explosiveness. He has a nice swim move to get to the quarterback. I mean, he is productive, whether it's at high school or college. So it's not shocking to me that during spring ball, we heard all the great things about him, that he looks the part, that he's playing the part. But I told you, I wasn't even worried about him on the field. The only thing I was worried about when it comes to Williams Nwaneri was him off the field, from Monday to Friday, doing everything right in the weight room, eating the right food, being committed to the team, because that was the problem at Missouri. And what we've heard during fall ball is a completely glowing, perfect report. Not only with him off the field, he's been perfect off the field. He's been a great teammate. I mean, we heard, Elijah Judy, Keona Davis, Cameron, all these guys on the defensive line, they're hyping up Williams. They're saying how much of a leader he's become and how committed he is to the squad. But I mean, you just go back to the stuff on the field. That's what should excite you, because he is an absolute freak. He's already the best pass rusher on our team for what we've seen in only 2 weeks. I remember when the fans saw the team on that Saturday was open practice at Memorial Stadium. That was the one player we kept hearing things about, that Williams Nwaneri. I mean, he just looks the part. He gets the quarterback very quick. He can just shut off a block in a matter of a second, right? We've heard that same thing from the media. So Williams Nwaneri is somebody who I previously called an X factor for Nebraska. If he can break out in a big way, especially in the pass rush department, Nebraska instantly they get to the quarterback at a higher rate because of him, because there's not another defensive lineman on this team who can get to the quarterback like he can. Riley Van Poppel can't do that. Judy can't do that. Keona can't do that. Jalen George can't do that, but Williams can. So if he can break out, it takes this defensive line unit from maybe a B+ to an A because of his pass rushing ability. So hearing a lot of good things about him during fall practice. It's awesome, but we got to see it on game day versus Cincinnati. So that's the first stud for Nebraska during all of fall ball. All right, let's take it to the duds. Again, we're going to go stud, dud. Let's go to my first dud, my first faller for the Huskers during fall ball. And this is not one particular player, but this is the entire running back room. Not named Emmett Johnson. I don't want to include Emmett Johnson in this conversation because he's been playing great. That's the expectation, right? He's awesome. But going into fall ball, I told you guys how big of a question mark the running back room is. And I was hoping somebody maybe like a Quinn Ives would finally break out, like a Jamarion Parker. But unfortunately, the questions that I had going into fall ball have only doubled because of our injury issue more than anything else. We know that Jamarion Parker at this point in time is likely out for the entire year with that knee injury that he had in the spring. Quinn Ives got banged up with his hamstring very early on. He's going to be questionable, likely going to that Cincinnati game. And he got banged up in the spring also. So we're looking at a running back room that consists of pretty much 4 players right now. You got Emmett Johnson you feel good about. You have Mekhi Nelson who's playing fine, and he's running back too. And the coaching staff, they talk a lot of good things about Mekhi Nelson. But my question to you is, are they hyping up Mekhi Nelson because he's been playing really good? Or are they just hyping him up because he's our running back too and he has no competition? It's the same deal with Quinn Ives earlier. So, I mean, Mekhi Nelson at this point has no competition. I don't know how good he actually is. And then you got Isaiah Mozee, who's making that switch over, but can he pass block? That's the question around him. And then you get Kenneth Williams, who's walk on, but super shifty and super fast. So, I mean, the running back room, it just got to stay healthy. It just has to stay healthy. And I'm hoping Mekhi Nelson proves to a lot of people that, okay, he's legit. He's the real deal. He's very fast. He's somebody who has a good build on him. But again, it should be noted, he's a very young player. I mean, he was somebody who didn't have any offers coming out of high school. Nebraska felt like they got a hidden gem. But usually with these hidden gems, it kind of takes time to develop. So if we're thrusting him out, into the season opener, going to his second year, when he's only been on campus for about 13, 14 months, it's maybe not a good look for this entire running back room. So the running back room, for that reason, the entire room, not one particular player, but it all gets a dud because I have a lot more questions than I do answers. And that's not something that I wanted to have going to the third week of Nebraska fall practice. All right, let's go to number two. Number two stud for the Huskers. This is Mario Buford on the secondary, guy who plays nickel and plays safety. Now, the reason why Mario Buford, I would say, honestly, he might be the biggest, even over a guy like Williams, just because he made a positional battle out of nowhere. Nobody was really expecting the nickel position to be a positional battle, right? Because, Malcolm Hartzog's had that locked up for a while, and it very well still might be Malcolm Hartzog by game time. But Mario Buford, we forget that he's a former four-star recruit. We forget that he played corner in high school. He plays safety, he plays rover, he plays nickel. He plays literally every position, okay? But has such a high potential. He's so speedy. He has great ball skills. With a guy with his stature, it's hard for him to stay off the field. Okay, and I think he has a higher upside than Malcolm Hartzog, and he's been shutting things down all fall practice. He's been looking really good, developing himself as a tackler. So he's somebody who, at that nickel spot, at that slot spot, it's become a battle between him and Malcolm Hartzog, and he's played very well. I could see, maybe not by the Cincinnati game, but by the time we maybe get to Michigan, by the time we maybe get later down the road, Mario Buford is your solidified nickel starter, and Malcolm Hartzog isn't. Because we know that Addison Williams, he doesn't have any ties to these guys. He didn't recruit Mario. Addison Williams didn't recruit Mario Buford, nor did he recruit Malcolm Hartzog. So Addison Williams is going to put out the best five, regardless of how old you are, if you have a single digit, or if you're a black shirt. It doesn't matter. You're going to put out the best five in Mario Buford. The way he's been performing in practice, he should honestly potentially get out there against Cincinnati, because, I mean, he's a stud, man. And if you guys didn't see that last year and played 11 of the 12 games, you're going to see it this year for sure. And then, going on to the second dud. Also at this slot position, also at nickel, we kind of already talked about it. It's Malcolm Hartzog. And the reason why I'm putting Malcolm Hartzog here is just simply because, for the exact same reasoning, this was not supposed to be a positional battle. I was hoping that Malcolm Hartzog going into the fall was going to say, you know what, this is my year. We're going to put 2022, 2023, 2024 off to the side. I know I was not the best player, and I gave him a lot of touchdowns. Yes, we got some interceptions from time to time, but he was a liability in coverage for the majority of his ball games. That's fine with Malcolm Hartzog. But we know how talented he is. He's super fast. He does have great ball skills. So we were hoping that Malcolm Hartzog, with all the confidence that he has in him, that he was going to break out and say, you know what, this is my year. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's the case. I mean, there was a practice clip not too long ago of Jacory Barney just absolutely burning and mossing Malcolm Hartzog, on a touchdown. That's not something you want to see from your fourth-year guy who's been starting since he was a true freshman, right? So, Malcolm Hartzog, I was hoping this wasn't going to be a battle, but it looks like it is. And again, I still expect Malcolm to be our starter by Cincinnati, but with the way that it's progressing, I just don't feel confident about him starting the entire year. And that's not something I want to have with my senior, who hopefully is going to be single-digit once again. A single-digit means you're one of the better players on this team. That's a bad look if he's not starting. So he's going to start for Cincinnati. I feel confident of saying that, but again, should he start over the course of the year? I don't know. He's on a short leash. That's the only thing that I know for a fact. So I'm going to put him as my second dud. And then going to my third dud. Or excuse me, my third stud. We'll go to my third dud later. Third stud is Jeremiah Jones, true freshman wide receiver. This is somebody who we knew all the hype around him. 6'4", 225 pounds. He played every position in high school. I basically compared him to Michael Terry. Nebraska, of course, missed out on Michael Terry, but Jeremiah Jones was kind of him 2.0, where Jeremiah played every position. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, DB, linebacker, doesn't matter. He can play it. So we put him at wide receiver, which was his preferred position. And he's been great. I mean, he looks the part, obviously, but it's been the contested catching ability. The hands have been a lot improved from what they were in week one. Week one, they were not good. He was dropping a lot of balls. But by the time we get to week three, right now, he's looking better in that department. He's catching a lot of these contested balls. These dink and dunks. Like he was dropping those earlier. That's not the case anymore. So the hands are getting better. He's learning to play back at a high level. At this point, with how athletic he is, and how fast he is, and how tall he is, I feel like it's going to be incredibly hard for Nebraska, especially to kill short, to keep him off the field. Because we lack, right now in this receiver room, we lack a mixture of height and speed. We don't have a player besides Jeremiah Jones who is a freak athlete, maybe like a Malachi Coleman in the past, or Isaiah Nayer from last year. We don't have that this year. Okay, Dane Key's the 6'3", but Dane Key's not a guy who can outrun you. You know, he's a 4'6" guy. We have Quinn Clark, not somebody super fast. Keelan Smith, not somebody super fast. So we don't really have a receiver on this team like a Jeremiah Jones, who's big, tall, and fast, like a DK Metcalf. Okay, that's why I believe that Jeremiah Jones is going to play a lot more this year, especially with him doing everything right off the field, learning the playbook at a high level, which is my question mark, and also committing himself off the field. So Jeremiah Jones, good stuff around him. I think it's going to be super hard for the coaches to have to keep him off at this point with how well he's performing. So he gets my third stud spot. And then going on to my third dud. This is Marcos Davila at that quarterback position for Nebraska, transferred from Purdue. I mean, let's just be honest. I was wrong. I was wrong about Marcos Davila. I'll tell you when I'm right, but I was definitely wrong on Marcos. I was telling you guys for a couple months on the channel, I thought he was going to be quarterback 2. I thought he was going to be backing up Dylan, and unfortunately, that just hasn't been the case because he's still a freshman. He's still very young. He's still very raw. We know the arm talent there. Like, he can throw 70 yards. He has a great stature on him. He's a smart quarterback. He's committed off the field. It's just, it takes time for some of these guys. It takes time, and that's fine. We don't want to rush these quarterbacks. So I'm not out on Marcus Davila long term, but this year it's become clear to me pretty quickly that he's just not going to be ready. To the point where TJ Lateef has passed him in the depth chart from what it's looking like. So, again, it's not, and TJ didn't pass him because Marcus is playing horrendous. That's not the reason. It's just simply because TJ is playing really good. So, the reason why Marcus is a dud is because right now he's quarterback 4. I thought it was going to be quarterback 2. Maybe that's my fault for giving him a lot of expectations that weren't there. But, you know, Marcus Davila, hopefully going into next year, hopefully he can, I mean, he's not going to redshirt because he redshirted last season, but hopefully he can play in 4 games, whether it's against Akron, whether it's against Houston Christian, maybe one other in there, get some experience, get some reps, and then going into 26, he can potentially fight to be our backup then. But Marcus Davila just not ready from what it's sounding like. Okay, let's go to my 4th stud for the Huskers. This one shouldn't even be a conversation. Andrew Marshall has been phenomenal. I mean, he's been phenomenal. From what we've heard, what I've heard specifically, he could have been playing. Actually, I don't even know if I want to say could have. He is probably playing better right now in fall practice than Sierra Wright. And Andrew Marshall's our corner 2. Sierra's our number 1. Like, that's how good Andrew Marshall's been. I mean, he's been locking things down. We know how speedy he is. We know how much of a threat he is on special teams. He's going to be our punt and kick return for the Huskers this year. But, I mean, he's been so phenomenal from a physicality standpoint. That was the big question mark coming out of Idaho. So, Andrew Marshall, he solidified his starting spot. I believe he might be in the mix to be a single-digit guy. We'll see about that. But Andrew Marshall, give him all the flowers because he's wrapped up that battle pretty quickly, and he's been looking really good. So, no surprises there. He gets my 4th stud spot. And then going into my 4th dud, I'm going to go with Teddy here. And I'm going to make this very clear. I still kind of expect Teddy to be our starter at right tackle by the time we get to Cincinnati, at least by the time we get to Michigan. I guess I'm just disappointed that we haven't heard more from him. Because it was pretty clear to me, at least in my mind, it's pretty obvious to me that Teddy Prohaska is more talented than Tyler Knack. I don't feel like that's a hot take. So that's why it kind of frustrates me that Tyler Knack's ahead of him on the depth chart. I understand that Teddy's had a lot of injury issues and there are a lot of concerns there. But to me, from what we're hearing, it's clear that Teddy's probably not playing up his snough in practice. And that's the reason why he's not ahead, because it's not even close from a talent standpoint. It's not even close. Like, Tyler Knack's a fine player, but he was a low 3-star recruit from Utah. Teddy was a big 4-star at Elkhorn South who's played very good snaps for Nebraska over the past 4 years. So I guess I'm just disappointed that this hasn't become more of a battle. It still is a battle, but the fact that Tyler Knack's still getting reps with the ones at this point in time, it just leads me to believe he's not been playing up to snuff, to the level that we thought we were going to get back from Teddy. So maybe he's not 100% healthy. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I guess I'm just disappointed because I expected him to be one of our better tackles this year if he was healthy. But I mean, I think he is healthy. But if Tyler Knack's still starting, that kind of tells you a lot. So he gets my 4th dud spot. All right, 5th and final stud and dud. I'm going to go with Dawson Merritt with my 5th stud. And this is somebody who, obviously great recruit coming out of high school, 4-star, almost a 5-star. He had a shoulder injury. He was out all the spring ball. And for that reason, I honestly was writing him off. I thought that with Dawson Merritt, it was going to be too hard for him to put on all this weight on time and to get back in the speed of things going into the fall ball. And that looks like that's not the case. Now, don't get me wrong. Dawson could still very well redshirt. This jack position's low. I mean, you got Deshaun McCullough, you got Wilson McGahee, You got Maverick Noonan in there, Jordan Show. Like, it's a loaded position. It's going to be hard for Dawson to get some snaps. He's going to be clawing for him. But Dawson's really broke on the scene this last week. First week, really didn't hear much. Second week, really been good. So Dawson Merritt, I think with how athletic he is, he kind of reminds me of a Princewell and Manmiela, where Princewell as a true freshman was not very, he didn't weigh a lot. He was about 225, 230, just like Dawson. But with how athletically gifted Princewell was, Nebraska had no choice but to play him on third downs. Feels like it's the same way there with Dawson. So I think at this point, with the way it's trending, he's going to play the majority of ball games. Now, is he going to start? Is he going to get a bunch of snaps? Absolutely not. But he's going to be primarily a third down pass rusher and somebody who probably get on a lot of special teams. So Dawson Merritt, he's exceeded my expectations already. I thought they might have just waved the white flag, shut him down for the year, and said, you know what, we'll see you in 26. I'm excited that he's going to play a lot this year. And then last but not least, my final dud, I'm just going to go with Demitrius Bell here. And this isn't his fault. I want to make that very clear. Like, the injury that he sustained in 2024 in the spring game, that was horrendous. And that, you don't wish on anybody. It was a lot more severe than a lot of people were giving it credit for. It was more than just an ACL tear. So there's a reason why he's still out, 17, 18 months later, right? It is just disappointing because this is a receiver core that I'm always holding my breath on. I've made that very clear where, you got Dane, you got Nyziah, you got Jacory, and that's a great starting three. But for the past couple of years for Nebraska, we always hype up the receivers, and it never lived up to expectation for whatever reason. And Demitrius Bell is one of those guys who could bolster this receiver room from potentially not living up to expectations to potentially exceeding them. So what I mean by this is the fact of the matter is Demitrius Bell is probably not going to play until the Michigan game. Okay, he's probably not going to be healthy by the Michigan game. But with him being out all of spring ball, all of fall ball, even if he's healthy by the Michigan game, he's probably not going to play because some of these guys are already taking his spot, whether it's a Cortez Mills, Jeremiah Jones we just talked about, Keelan Smith. So even if Demitrius Bell's healthy by then, the fact that he hasn't been practiced for 4 weeks doesn't do him any solid. They might just shut him down for the entire year again. Or he just might be on, a special teams duty. So I think that's why he's my biggest, or one of my biggest followers, is simply because it was so crucial for him to be back and healthy by week 1 of fall ball. Even if he's going to be back by the season, that's great. You like to have him back in practice, but he's behind. He's behind by a couple weeks. And that just hurts the receiver room depth. Again, I don't know what this receiver room is going to look like by the time we get to October. Dane might be hurt. Jacory might be hurt. You never want to, predict those type of things, but it could very well happen. This receiver room has a curse. And I want it to be as deep as possible. But the fact of the matter, if Demitrius Bell continue to be hurt, or if he's behind the playbook, or just not, up to game speed, here's the depth, and that's just not something I want to see from this receiver core. So I hope that makes sense. It's a little bit of a tangent there, but that's why he gets my 5th and final dud spot. So, all right, guys, let me know your thoughts down below, your 5 biggest studs and duds. Again, I want to make it very clear. I do this in all of my dud videos where people will go in the comment section and they'll be like, Wilson, you're being so negative. These are student athletes that are working the best. I absolutely accept that. And again, I'm rooting for all 5 of those guys that I mentioned at the dud spot. It's just, we got to be objective here. They're getting paid nowadays. They're getting paid than almost all of us, right? So there are a little bit of expectations that come with the role, right? And we're rooting for all of them, but that's just my objective analysis of my 5 biggest studs and duds. So, all right, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. Hey, if you made this far, hit that like button and subscribe as always, folks. Go be good, go Mike, and I'll see you in the next one.